Jimmy, I read once that John Wayne had a real, like a father figure type relations with a lot of the younger actors. Now, you worked with him in '67 with El Dorado. Now, what are your memories of working with the Duke?
Well, he was, I was like a kid, I was 22, 23, he was like a 12-year-old kid. If he could intimidate you, he'd stay on you, But one day I just couldn't take it anymore. I went back at him, and from that time on, we had, he was funny. I mean, he made me, there was nobody else around. In the beginning, we played chess with one another, and there'd be a phone call, and I'd go answer, I'd come back, and a piece. I said, "Hey, man, that rook was over here." The hell it was over here. And he'd cheat. He was pretty funny, and then I'd get out, and the way he had like intimidated me at first, when I was off camera, and there was Howard Hawks, we called coach, and I was off camera, and he right in the middle of the scene, and I go, and he'd start laughing, and Hawks would say, "What's the matter?" And he'd go, nothing,
Jimmy Caan did something that you also did. He was in a John Wayne movie.
Yeah.
And with him, it said John Wayne tested him a lot. Now, what was the Duke like with you?
I'll tell you, it's strange. Henry Hathaway. I saw the way he directed a guy, and he said to the guy, now can you imagine saying this to Johnny Unitas in the Super Bowl? He said to this actor, this is the direction, quote unquote, "When I say action, tense up, God damn it." This is what he said to the actor. I said, oh. So now we got in this big argument for 20 minutes. I called him every night. He was saying he didn't know, and I got lightheaded. And finally John Wayne said, "I do believe he's got the boy's dandruff." He started laughing and everything, and John Wayne was getting this big kick out of the whole thing,
Now, you worked with John Wayne a number of times. How imposing a figure was he on the set? Because you must have hit it off that you worked with him a number of times.
I tell you, that's interesting because he was imposing enough that even if you were having dinner with him, or you were in a circumstance which was totally at ease, you never forgot that you were with an icon. You just couldn't. Wayne, even if he was had a few in him or what have you, was still John Wayne. And it didn't affect the relationship. You could talk, but you never forgot. It's very rare that that happens.
You worked with John Wayne in Brannigan.
Yeah.
What do you remember of those experiences?
He was the consummate professional. He knew exactly what he was going to do before he came on the set. He knew his lines backwards. He had very firm ideas as to how he wanted it to be shot. Don't photograph me from here, this is how I like to do this, etc., etc., etc. And my respect and affection for him was profound. I mean, was very deep. I absolutely disagreed with him politically. I mean, he was the opposite almost to what I am. But that was not part of our work. Our work was making the movie, and outside, I wouldn't like to have met him in a dark alley, if we were opposing views. But no, he was a great chap.
We got along terrifically well. It's amazing for two people whose opinions on almost everything were diametrically opposed to one another. We had natural chemistry between us, and I don't know why or how, there's no explanation for that, but it was there. And he was wonderful, and he was really sick. And his behavior all through it was terrific, and he gave a wonderful performance. And he was living that part, I'm afraid. So it wasn't a question of sizing anyone up, it was just a question, I was glad to work with him again.
When you think of actors that you worked with that you were intimidated by, now where does he rate in the larger-than-life figures?
Well, he was a lesson to me. I didn't want him for my picture, the Cowboys. I wanted George Scott. The studio really, because the reason I didn't want him is I knew him to be a right-wing, we were antithetical human beings, polar opposites in every possible way. But I must tell you that he seduced me in a way that was remarkable. I flew to Mexico, where he was shooting a picture. He really wanted to do the Cowboys. He treated me with the most respect. I was like this, waiting for him to say something anti-Semitic or anti-Indian or anti-anything. I was ready to jump on him. But he taught me a lesson. You know, I know a lot of people with whom I agree, politically and otherwise, who are jerks. And then you take someone like him, who I disagreed with in almost every area except art. And he was a terrific person. The first guy on the set, the last person to leave. The picture was full of kids. They climbed on him like a monkey bar in a playground. He was available to everybody. We went out to dinner. He would sign autographs for everybody. He never was unfair or unpleasant. And it was a big lesson to me not to prejudge.
I got one question about
Yeah.
John Wayne.
Yeah.
You know, you did something to him that hasn't been done
Nobody
very
else
often.
did.
Or,
Nobody.
What did he say to you before that?
He said to me just before I pulled the trigger and did the first take, "Ooh, how they're gonna hate you for this." And I said, "Maybe, but in Berkeley, I'm a goddamn hero." And that was, you have to remember, that was 1972. He'd just done a Playboy interview in which he'd ripped everybody in America that wasn't waspy white a new behind, and he didn't care about anybody. And then right after that, he won the Harvard Hasty Pudding Award for the worst actor of the year, and he's the only actor who ever went and accepted it. And he went to his friend at the Pentagon. They gave him a tank, and I don't know if you remember this, and he went right down Commonwealth Avenue into Harvard Square in the tank and accepted his Hasty Pudding Award for being the worst actor of the year. I mean, that's great. We don't have people that do stuff like that anymore.
But did you have warm memories of him?
Oh, I loved him. I loved him. You know why I loved him? Because he loved to make movies. I love to make movies. I love the day-to-day making of the movie.